Welcome to Meanwhile at the Museum, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes at Cincinnati Museum Center with the people, stories, and shenanigans that we all know and love. We have our producer, Magic Mitch, on the ones and twos.
Hey.
And in the Beat Laboratory, we're joined by Arynn McCandless.
Arynn MC.
Arynn MC. Blaze on the mic.
Yes.
Who doesn't know what her title is.
I know what
Do
my
you?
title is. It's Director Program Development.
When I asked you 1 minute ago, you didn't know.
It's not that I didn't know. I asked if that was your first question. Like, are we officially starting your pod talk with what my title is?
Yes, we were going to officially start the pod talk with that.
Okay.
But so was your problem is that's not how you define yourself?
No, that is big part of how I define myself. I love labels. That's why I work in a museum. There's labels everywhere.
Do you label everything in your office?
I do. I label everything. I label every person. Every conversation gets filed away.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So the things labeled in your office, are they like named, or they say Arynn on them, or pen, Post-it note?
They're actually, a lot of them are labeled incorrectly because I use a lot of, recycled old file folders, and they'll just say random stuff from like 2010 or something. I don't have any idea what it means, but I have to kind of remember what it means now.
So you have to
It's
see
fun.
the label and then translate it in your brain into
Yeah.
what it actually is. It kind of seems like counterintuitive a little bit.
I know.
It's your file system is an Arynn McCandless Rosetta Stone. It is. Difference makers. That's really
Contracts.
junior chefs.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah. Hmm.
How long have you been with the museum?
15 years.
15 years. So you started in, let's do math, 2009?
I think that's right.
Oh, wow.
That's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago.
I don't remember anything else about 2009.
Except that you started here.
Yeah.
What was your first role? What did you join as?
I was a part-time specialist in the Children's Museum.
See,
Part-time.
there are a lot of people around the museum who started as part-timers or started seasonal and now have been here for like 15 or 20 years.
Yeah.
It is like CMC is like KFC. Once you know the 11 herbs and spices, they don't let you leave.
I mean, I've thought that before.
So in your mind then, who's the colonel?
Elizabeth.
Okay.
Is that wrong?
No, but
it seems right.
It's
Okay.
a really fun visual.
Yeah.
I bet we can get Mitch to do a little kerneled up Elizabeth for us that we can post.
I don't know how much she would appreciate
She's
that.
a cool colonel, though.
I will put on record that I will defend Mitch's job security if he does a Colonel Elizabeth.
All right. That's what I needed to hear.
She's in charge of all the spice.
She is in charge. She literally has a chef's jacket that says food curator
I know.
on it. And
She kept referring to herself as the food curator before I knew she was doing that. And I was like, who is the food curator? Who keeps coming up in my emails as talk to the food curator? I was like, who is this person? And it's Elizabeth. That makes sense. But I didn't officially get introduced to her in that role. And I just kind of had to discover it.
it was sort of self-appointed, but
I love that.
She's the colonel, so she can do whatever she wants.
What would you be the curator of if you could self-appoint yourself?
Ooh, I would be the curator of
Good times.
I would be Good Times curator of Good Times, with a PhD in shenanigans.
I'm sorry, I spoke over you. I answered for you. What would you be the curator
No,
for?
I think curator of Good Times is fine.
Okay.
I don't have the power or the authority to self-appoint.
Yeah.
So, Mitch,
Only one person has that power and authority.
They do. What would you be curator of?
Learning environments. Is that too not cool of an answer? I don't know. It's not Good Times. Learning vibes. Curator of cool learning vibes.
Just keep going. Just keep workshopping. It just has to be true to you.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably it.
Curator of
I
cool
feel
learning
like
vibes.
I feel like I have done that. That's probably the things that I have been most proud of in my 15 years here is like how to take our exhibits and really bring them to life as learning environments, because not everybody is a traditional learner who goes and learns from books. I mean, we all do that, but that's not the only way. You can learn through play. You can learn through creating. You can learn through food. Now I'm learning.
So what are some of the ways that you've curated those cool learning vibes for people? Can you give some examples?
Well, Kids Space is in the Children's Museum.
Let's see how good I am.
What does SPACE stand for?
Science, play, art, creativity, exploration.
You got it.
Ooh, yes.
When we were workshopping that, I couldn't think of any word that started with the letter P. So like porcupine was the placeholder. And then Tony Lawson, who's like did this whole learning through play thing, was like looking at me like, play? Have you ever heard of it? I'm like, oh yeah, that's much better than porcupine.
I don't know. I'd kind of like it if we had a porcupine down there.
That would be fun.
Because it is, I don't think people really focus on what it stands for in Kids Space.
Yeah.
So you could slip porcupine in there.
I don't know if anyone would notice. Yeah.
Because
We'll try it.
Because sometimes those creative inspirations, they just jump out and poke you.
Yeah.
Like porcupine.
I see what you did there.
You also should have seen the panic in Mitch's face for me trying to figure out what space stood for.
Well, I was
in
trying to
Kids
remember,
Space.
see if I could have done it, and I'm not sure I would have got it.
Well, that's a shame.
Kids Space, I'm trying to think. Kids Space looks like, and this is going to be the most flattering description coming straight out of the marketing department. Kids Space looks like if you walked into your favorite elementary school art teacher's
Yes.
hoarder hole.
Oh.
Like there are art projects and art supplies and stuff just like everywhere.
Yeah. And art by community artists. And everything in that space was like thoughtfully designed and curated. We'll use that word again. Like, I didn't want it to feel like we went to Discount School Supply to get the tables. So we made the tables. We made the handles on the cabinets.
Tables are old doors, right?
They're old doors. Even the ones that aren't old doors were still made with like the design of the space in mind. And it's just a really cool space. And I love bringing artists in there. And when I bring artists in there to like do their thing and they like, this feels so good. Like I have this one artist coming in December, Adoria Maxbury. She was like, I've been here before and I always had a vision of coming into this space and teaching. And this is like a literal dream come true. And like that it melts my cold little heart.
She wanted to...
I don't have a cold heart. I have a really warm heart. I have cold hands though.
What are the other two, H's and 4-H?
What? H's and 4-H?
You know 4-H, it stands...
I have no idea. Horses, hay.
Nope.
Oh.
No. We'll come back to that. It stands for head, heart, hands, and something else. Those
Hearth. Health.
I don't think either of those are. I don't know.
A Heath bar. I love a good Heath
Do
bar.
you love Heath bars?
I love Heath.
Oh, I hate toffee.
Sorry.
Heath bars are a bold choice to just lean that hard in on toffee.
I mean, I'm not going to eat a whole Heath bar. I would eat
like a
a
fun
Heath
size.
mini. A fun size. That's it.
They don't make fun size Heath bars.
Yes,
you know
they do.
what? No, they don't, because they're not fun. And they're not, and the
wrong.
company has the integrity
That's
to know we're not going to be liars.
That's incorrect.
I think that's factually incorrect, and I got to make sure.
Fact check. Fake
as
news.
a museum,
All right.
educational institution.
Yes. I mean, do they say fun sized? Maybe not. It may not say fun size, but they make mini. Mini Heath. And that, I mean, honestly, it is my stance that you don't need any candy bar in a full-sized bar. Like when I was a kid, you would go through a grocery store and it was full-size candy bars as far as the eyes could see. And like, even then I was like, this is just too much candy bar. Who is eating a whole Snickers?
Well, you just don't eat it all at once.
That's strange.
So, what is, in your mind, what is the appropriate portion size of a Kit Kat? How many
4?
little fingers, little sticks? 4?
I mean,
I got news for you. That's a
2.
full-size Kit Kat.
No, you're right.
So 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would like a 4. I couldn't eat all 4, but I would like 4.
But you would you
Because it's fun to break them apart. That's like an interactive candy.
it's
All right, time
it's-
to put a call in for a Kit Kat sponsorship.
yes. This break's brought to you by Kit Kat.
Give me a
When
break.
you need a break, reach for a Kit Kat.
Mhm.
Kit Kat is snacking through play,
Yeah.
which is why it makes the perfect sponsor.
Mm,
One of
great.
these is going to land. One of these pitches is going to land. All right, so back to what we were talking about before. Are Werther's Originals, which are also like butterscotch
Yes.
toffee, above or below Heath bars?
Ooh. I would say they run parallel.
Do
Like
you,
nobody is going to reach in their pocket and hand you like out of their pocket a Heath bar because then it would be all melty but so like Werther's is a good pocket carry along. I need it in my pocket, candy.
do you have any Werther's Originals in your personal effects today?
No.
No?
No.
I'm a little surprised by that.
Well,
Okay.
I'll keep you guessing.
All right, so I think we've been talking about some of the impacts you've made on the museum, and you started with Kid Space.
Yeah, that's true.
What? All right, we'll weave our way forward and backwards. So now you're doing kind of all program development in terms of when guests come in and there's a program on the floor or there's something that they can sign up for.
Yeah.
That's you, right?
I do a lot of it. We do a lot of programming, and programming can look like a lot of different things. Like programming that goes into schools looks different than what we do in the museums. So I do a lot of grant funded work as well. So if we get a grant that helps us explore watersheds or jumping spiders or food or whatever it is, I often am the one that helps figure out how we're going to spend down that grant, what we're going to do programming wise on the floor. And that leads me in a lot of different directions, which is really interesting too, because that work is beyond like my background in a lot of ways. And so I love that this is like a place where I can be a lifetime learner, and just continue to learn about stuff I would probably otherwise never really dig deep into.
How do you do that work? Because a watershed is very different from a jumping spider, which is extremely different from a food program. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can eat a jumping spider. I don't know
I
how that tastes,
wouldn't
but
recommend it.
well, and that's for you to tell us.
Yeah.
So how do you, and what's the approach? Because
Yeah.
it's not necessarily you are the expert on those different areas.
Yeah.
So what skill sets are you applying to such different program topics and styles?
That's an interesting question. I would say the skill set that I apply is being able to make the connections to things, whether it's connecting it to our exhibits, connecting it to our environment, connecting it to Cincinnati in some way, and then connecting it always back to the people who are the experts, because I will never know as much about jumping spiders as like our partner Nate Morehouse will. And that's not my goal, to mimic his understanding or to learn the depth that he's researched. But it is my goal to like communicate some of the things that he's learned. So figuring out, and my team does a lot of this, is like how can we distill down some of these maybe more complicated, concepts into something that people can understand in a very playful learning environment, and sometimes very short interactions, and sometimes they go really deep.
So you're a bridge. You have the content or the content expert.
Yes.
And then you have the guest, which is a child, an adult, just someone who is passing by or someone who's curious.
Mm-hmm.
And you're the bridge that connects those two.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've all had teachers, we've all had professors in a class that we're not really familiar with that just doesn't connect with us because they don't know how to relay that information. But you find someone who does, and like it all clicks for you. And you're that bridge, you're that translator.
I feel like I'm maybe the architect of the bridge.
Okay. You're a curator, you're an architect.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a labeler.
Yeah.
You're
Thanks
a
for
toffee
these
lover?
labels. I'm going to add these labels to my collection. So I say I'm the architect because like somebody has to kind of build that structure, and then we have so many amazing specialists on the floor, museum engagement specialists, who I would say are those actual conduits who take that information and bring it more directly to people. I get to do that sometimes. I don't get to do it as much as I used to. So I feel like I'm more of the planner and the builder of the thing. And then there's a lot of really talented people who take it and run with it and make it even better.
Do you have a particular program that you're most proud of, either recent or in the 15 years that you've been here?
I don't know if it's like a specific program. It's more of these environments that I'm really proud of. Like Kid Space is a learning environment, and Create Culinary Studio is a learning environment, because that becomes like a playground for people to interpret, for people to like do new things with that maybe I wouldn't have even imagined, but have kind of created a framework around. I think that's what I'm most proud of is that kind of creating this framework or this new way of engaging with content, engaging with each other. Because in all of these spaces, it's not only I'm just learning about this topic. You're also learning about yourself. You're learning about maybe who you came with, your family, your friends. It pulls out so much out of people when they can just be in these spaces and kind of, bring their own personal interests into them, and it turns into something magical for each individual person, which I think is pretty remarkable, that like you can create something that each individual person can draw something unique from.
That's really interesting because it's not about one learning outcome. We want everyone to understand the water cycle when they walk out of this program.
Yeah.
It's people end up tailoring it to themselves.
Yeah.
They take what they want out of it, and I think that's what's really cool and special about museums is there's no curriculum.
Yeah.
So there's nothing you are required to know or you're tested on.
Yeah.
We present the information, we help make it relatable to you, and then you grab onto whatever you find is really fascinating about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you are also surprisingly good at creating buzzwords.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What?
So buzzwords we've heard, curator has come up a lot. Curator of cool learning vibes. Learning environments is really cool. Describing Kid Space and the Create Culinary Studios playgrounds.
Yeah.
You're an architect of these learning environments and these programs, of that bridge.
You're making me sound really cool.
You are really
Thank
cool.
you. Oh, thanks.
You are really cool. And speaking of really cool, the way I would describe your vibe in general is, and I kind of said it earlier, you are the cool elementary school art teacher.
I was an elementary.
Were you really?
Yes, before I came to the museums, I was an art teacher. That's my background. I taught in Cincinnati Public Schools for almost 3 years.
If someone said, "Hey, I'm looking for Arynn McCandless, can you help me find her?" I would say, look for the elementary school art teacher.
Yeah.
And they, more often than not, I think they'd find you.
I think so. That was a really hard job.
Was it?
Yeah, it was really hard.
Talk to us about it.
It's just teachers.
You did it for 3 years?
Yeah, I did it for 3 years, and I kept getting RIFT, so reduction in force, because I was an art teacher. I was part-time, very under-resourced. So in my part-time schools, I would have 400 to 500 kids that I would see. I'd see all of them. And, for an entire year, I think my budget to buy art supplies was like $200.
Oh, wow.
So it was really challenging. And this is before Pinterest and, where people can go to find ideas and things. And so I definitely value the opportunity to find inspiration from places outside of the internet. I grew up having to do that. So I really value that. And I think that's, something that I attribute to some of my success is just being able to find inspiration in a lot of places outside of the internet. But yeah, it was challenging. Teachers are really under-resourced. I think the way that schools operate, it's the Industrial Revolution. It's an outcome of that, kind of just pushing kids through a machine. And I just think we've evolved past that way of learning. And that's why I came to museums, because it's a different way of learning. And it isn't about the grades and the outcomes as much as it is about those little nuggets of things that you hold on to for your life and like become inspired by and learn from. I don't know. It was just a totally different environment. And I have a lot of, my kids are in public school, so I say all of this knowing that it is a thing. And I would just love to see, things get better for our kids. I think I have a lot of like, I could go on and on and on about how I feel about the kids these days. The kids, they're all right, but I think they could, I don't know.
I think you're right. Schools kind of are. It's about what's the next benchmark, what's the next checkpoint. I mean, you think you get through elementary school, so you're ready for middle school. So then you're ready for high school. So then you're set up to go to college, unless you're not set up to go to college. And then we have other, vehicles and places that will encourage you towards. And then once you graduate college, boom, now you go and do this. Like, talking to college students. I'm studying history, I'm studying English, I'm studying this, and they think it's a clear, like a straight trajectory. And it's not about, great, you graduated with a history degree, you know everything about history, you're ready to be a historian, or you're ready to be a history teacher. We've equipped you with a skill set, you've applied that towards learning history. What else can you do with this ability to read and comprehend and do research and write and like formulate arguments? You can go in 100 different directions, but school, I think there are basic things. Math is a great thing for kids to know. Sure, being able to read and read well is a great thing for kids to know. Yes. But not every kid in that classroom is going to think in the same way. So maybe they're gonna. Great, I get math. It's really hard for me to do. Yeah. But like I get the concept. But science, boom, nothing to it. I can like think through that clearly, but everyone's kind of moved, like this whole group, okay, now they all move together. And so you don't get that individual aspects, and everyone's graded on the same scale. Yeah. I think Einstein said you can't evaluate a fish on its ability to fly because not everything flies, not everything's meant to, and that's not what they do. So again, this coming back to us, this is the value of museums, is that we don't have a curriculum. We can be a curriculum builder and a resource for schools and the education system, but it is a place for kids to come in and adults to come in and say, I'm curious about this and I just want to go chase that. And they get to.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. I've learned to appreciate history more by being here. I think that's also a product of me getting older and understanding perspective a little bit better.
That people are calling your childhood history now?
Yeah, I was born in the 1900s.
I know, isn't that wild? For those, this is an audio medium, so you can't see, but Arynn is sitting here with a bonnet on. She did roll into this interview in a Conestoga wagon. Yeah. So, yes, firmly from the 1900s.
1900s, Cody, not 1800s.
Listen, automobiles did not take hold, did not grip the country until the 20s and 30s, so there was still room for wagons. Ask Arynn about it. She's from the 1900s.
Yeah, I definitely had a
wagon. For the
wagon.
record, Mitch and I are also from the 1900s, so yeah. We're also time travelers.
But I'm probably the oldest one here. I'm the most seasoned.
You have the longest museum tenure.
Yeah. We can't argue that. Yeah. I always remember, Arynn's the children's museum person. Like you were the artsy children's museum person that if I ever needed something in that area, I would come and track you down. Hey, I know you're doing this program. Tell me all the details about it. Or, someone wants to do this media story, like fill me in, like give me the context for that. But don't ever put you on camera is what I've learned.
I get a little frozen in front of a camera, it's for sure. Like I don't know how to behave properly and act normal. And even if it's like talking about myself, I forget who I am and anything I've ever done. And I hate it. I hate it very much.
I gotta say, I've had Arynn on camera a couple times, and I felt like you did really well.
Well, you literally had every word I was supposed to say out for me to read, and thank you.
Well,
but that's what it
takes. That's just how that's how you do it.
Yeah, or it has to be a hidden camera. Like if is there a hidden camera in here? Is like this?
No, we,
That's a Mitch question.
That would be.
that would
I
be kind
mean,
of weird.
That would it would be weird, but yeah,
But so, what is
that would work for me.
What is the difference? Is it just the camera itself? Is it?
It's a different way of being perceived, maybe, that just kind of makes me get in my head a little too much.
Okay.
I probably have gotten better at it because I'm probably more comfortable in my skin and more confident in the things I want to say. But I think it's just not my preferred thing.
You're not bad on camera, though. You don't do a bad job. So you. It's a deep sigh. I hope that came through. You're.
I feel like you're gonna be like, so
No,
you're
no.
not that. You should just get on camera.
No.
And
We're not trying to push you on camera.
You
It's just-
kind of are.
I think a lot of people, people are self-conscious, and nobody else is paying as much attention to the way you're doing things as you are.
Yeah.
So a lot of people that you probably wouldn't expect to be self-conscious on camera when you see them on a screen are self-conscious. So, just one of those things.
Thanks, Mitch.
The times I've had you on for media, you're very good, including the one time you did it twice.
Yeah, that's your fault for putting me in that situation. And that's maybe it's a trust issue, where like you say I'm gonna just do a thing and then I do it and then you're like, oh, just kidding, we didn't record it. You have to do it all over again, and then I forget what I said. Like I nailed it. I nailed that first time, and the world will never know that. And then they just see me like trying to recreate it in my head, like processing in real time. What did I say? What should I say? And it just becomes.
See,
I'll admit I've done that to someone now or then. It happens.
It's not what I love.
all right. So I didn't do that specifically. This was a KidSpace interview because people are like, this sounds really amazing. And you've already talked about how proud you are of KidSpace.
Yeah.
So who better to talk about KidSpace?
Yeah, and I did it.
Than you.
And you made me do
so
it twice.
you did it. It was recorded, which I tried to use as a carrot to say it's recorded. So if you mess up, you can do it again.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the live aspect freaks people out because they think like, what if I say something dumb, or if I like misspeak, what do I do? And I freeze. But this was recorded, so maybe and hopefully it would have been easier. Except it wasn't recorded because they forgot to hit record. And I said, and they said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to hit record. Can we do this over again?
remember. I don't know why you're
turned-
saying all this. I remember it. Or is this for everyone else?
This is for everyone else. You
Great.
turned and looked at me because I was not saying those words. You turned and looked at me, and I swear to you, if I
Lasers?
was a foot closer, you would have punched me.
Yeah.
Like it was, you were.
Do you get punched a lot here? I feel like you probably have gotten punched.
Cody, you look really punchable. Is that true? Has that bore out? I think. I think in people's minds probably more than I have physically. Yeah. So
I wouldn't have punched you.
I actually talked to that reporter like a year ago. So when did we open KidSpace? KidSpace
2017.
2017. Okay. So that's 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
6 years later, last year, I talked to that reporter, and they remembered it vividly
Aw.
and said how bad they felt. And I said, I think you get all scot-free because I get all the blame for that.
Yeah.
For that one.
Yeah, you're right. It really wasn't your fault.
Um,
I'm sorry for almost punching you.
No, it's okay. No, it's nice that you apologize. Other people don't apologize. They just.
I'm accountable to my part of it.
That's good.
Yeah.
There was a time that's happened before. We had an exhibit preview once, and luckily it didn't really impact anyone else. But the reporter going through got back to we're like, bye, thanks. And I was like, thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. And they called me 20 minutes later. They deleted everything that they had shot for an hour. Is the exhibit still open? Can I come back? And I said, yes, you can come back. And so walked in, and they were kind of like, hi, and just zipped right in to go and redo everything. But the whole, like, doing it the first time and, like, that's it. I don't remember what I said, but, like, it was probably pretty good. And having to do it over again, I think that's natural.
Yeah.
Everyone always thinks that they could, like, fine-tune and do things better. Or, like, sometimes I will think to myself, I could just delete this, because if I can't think of this again, it wasn't a good enough idea.
Yeah.
Which sometimes works, but also I'm very, very scatterbrained, and it bites me at the butt a lot.
I think there's something really fun about the process of like doing something for the first time, like the pioneering spirit of figuring something out.
That's the 1900s and you're
Yeah.
talking.
So, and I find this even in my own creative practices. Like, I don't want to recreate the same thing. And so I think that's just something in general that is not as appealing to me. Is I like doing things and figuring things out the first time. And then if I had to do that a billion times, I think I would not enjoy that so much.
Which is interesting because you're director of program development, which are kind of notoriously like can sometimes be very templated, right? So it's
But there's a lot of creative freedom within those templates
Right.
again, you know? So like we're, you know, in a Create Culinary studio, there's a template for like the program format, but within that, we get to play with any and all recipes. So there's still a lot of freedom to like play and figure things out.
which we're bearing this a little bit, but you're an artist.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am.
Talk to us, and I think is that some of that pioneering spirit come in through that, some of that kind of figuring things out come into that.
I think that's
Is that where that comes from?
been one of the things that has helped me just be a creative problem solver and thinker is, just having a creative background and interest in trying things different ways and not being afraid of failing, I think is a huge part of that too. Like you can try something and if it doesn't work out, then you iterate it. And that's part of the design process is also figuring out what nuggets of that did work and how can you pull those out and build on those. And I think that goes very, parallel with how you do art for me personally. Some people love that. Like I have this thing, I'm going to do it over and over and over again. And there are motifs in my work that come out a lot, but there is also something really fun about exploring something completely different and new that I think is really fun.
Do you want to talk about your art a little bit? Do you want to?
My art is inspired a lot by nature, and I'm a mom.
You're a big bunny person.
I
Big
am.
Bunny or rabbit? What's your preferred term? What's your preferred label?
I think it's bunny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bunny makes it sound.
It's,
Rabbit feels very scientific, and bunny
Yeah.
feels more art-minded.
So,
more
like,
adorable.
bunnies have been a part of my life since I can remember. I had a weird blood disease when I was a child, and this is my
Not-
first bunny memory. What?
Oh, okay. I'm anticipating you were bitten by a bunny, and so
Oh.
you're part like
Radioactive
you're
rabbit,
That would be
yes.
cool.
So you're like the Spider-Man of.
I have been bitten by a
bunnies.
bunny.
Oh, okay.
but it wasn't radioactive.
No, I don't think so. I've never measured for that.
You did hop all the way down the hall.
I did not hop.
to come into the
It's
beat
wrong.
laboratory.
That's
So-
that's false.
Okay. So
No, just bunnies have been a theme. I think my dad was in Saudi Arabia when my mom found out she was pregnant with me. And her message to him through a telegraph to Saudi Arabia was, tell Richard the rabbit died. And he didn't realize what that meant. He thought that meant that she wasn't pregnant until somebody said, congratulations, Richard. And he's like, what? Wait, what? And came home to his wife being 6 months pregnant. So like that was the first bunny thing. And then it just kept following me my whole life. And these little rabbits would just feel like this symbolism of like safety or home or something for me. And so, I hide them in my work a lot. And it's a very organic, my work has a lot of organic texture to it. And I'm inspired by nature. I do a lot of natural dyeing, a lot of embroidery. But often you will find these little bunnies hiding in them.
you mentioned the rare blood disease. What's the connection there with bunnies?
It was full of bunnies. My blood was full of bunnies.
No kidding?
Yeah. No.
That's incredible.
I had
people
something
have
called
red blood
purpura.
cells.
I don't know. Purpura? I don't know what it was called. I was a baby. But like all the blood vessels would break on these points that I'm pointing to.
Like your elbow joint.
Yeah.
If you bent your elbow, the blood vessels
It would
break.
all come to the surface. And so my mom took me to the doctor, and it was one of those moments where the doctor's like, never really seen this before. let me get the other doctors in. So I was laying on the doctor's table with like 6 doctors around me, which isn't fun for a kid.
How old were you at this time?
I was 3, 4,
Okay.
something like that. But on the door, the grain in the door, I found what looked to me in that grain a rabbit, a bunny. That one maybe was a rabbit. I don't know, because it was kind of long and stretched out.
Maybe a hare.
A hare, yeah. And I stared at that hare. I don't like hair. I stared at that rabbit for the entire time the doctors were like poking at me and trying to figure out what was wrong. And that gave me, again, that feeling of safety and like security and like everything was going to be okay.
Are you a big Alice in Wonderland fan?
No, I really hate that movie.
The rabbit didn't do anything for you? What's the trippy
No.
Vietnam era White Rabbit song? Who
White
sings
Rabbit.
that?
Jefferson Airplane.
Jefferson Airplane? Okay.
That
I think. Yeah. We may have to cut that for copyright purposes, but
I think we'll be all right.
you were so on point. How is Jefferson Airplane and Jefferson Starship different? Are they-
Airplane turned into Starship.
so you're telling me
They evolved.
White Rabbit and we built this city, same.
They might have changed the members.
Family? That's
I don't know their
insane.
history, but I know that Airplane developed into Starship.
I don't want to talk about Jefferson Airplane or Starship. I don't. Any Jeffersons. I didn't come here to talk about Jeffersons of any kind.
You don't want to move on up? You want to move on to
Okay, well,
other
that would-
topics?
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about your art a little bit.
A little bit.
Walk us through young Arynn and what brought
gosh.
you ultimately to the museum center. Let's get into your biography.
I was the only child of a accountant and an engineer. And to be a creative artist, redhead only child with a name that's spelled really strange has just always allowed me the freedom to just pursue what makes me excited. And so like I've always just kind of followed my heart and my instincts and my intuition, and it's led me through the theme for sure has been connecting people with learning, specifically art. But yeah, I went to school for art history and art education. I was a community-based artist for many years. Painted some murals in the West End. Kennedy Heights Art Center. Just loved. That was when I realized that like you can connect with people in an even deeper way outside of a classroom, and that like this world is our classroom and communities are our classroom, and there's just so many other places to learn about ourselves and each other, and that was just really inspiring to me.
Are your murals still out there?
No, and it was a Pokestop though for a minute, and my kids are really proud of that moment. But no, it got painted over, unfortunately.
What's a Pokestop?
In Pokemon Go.
Oh, okay.
Well, I never played it. I think I was a little old for Pokemon. My kids played it. My children, not me.
You know those like shows and movies where someone goes in and they're trying to like be undercover or blend in, and they like just drastically off on the topic of conversation and expose themselves really fast. That's me with Pokemon. Like
You're like, what up, fellow youths? Do you got a Pokemon card?
Yeah, it's like Bulbasaur. Is that one? Like, oh yeah, no, you're real
Charmander.
Charmander.
Yeah. All right. See, I did grow up playing Pokemon. I was just at that right age demographic for that.
Do you have a favorite one?
There's like 1,000 of them.
What's your favorite?
I don't really like picking favorites.
He's a diplomatic
I mean,
Pokemoner.
I don't want to, like, we talk about what's your favorite dinosaur.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't want to be basic and say T-Rex. Growing up, it would have been Charizard, but that's just the most basic answer ever.
Is that the little like dinosaur
No,
with the fire
Charizard.
tail?
Charizard, that's Charmander. He evolves into Charizard, which
Oh.
is the big one with the wings.
Mitch right now is like, Cody does have a really punchable face.
My favorite game I play right now is Pokemon Puzzle League.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's
you
the
do have
only.
some Pokemon then.
That's
yeah.
that's the extent of the Pokemon, and I do play Ash a lot on that, and he has Pikachu.
He's the boy.
So I know some words.
Okay.
I know some Pokemon words.
I do not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone.
You knew Bulbasaur.
I knew Bulbasaur.
That's
Yeah.
one. Is that the only one you know?
I think I've proven that. Yes.
Okay.
And Pikachu. Everyone knows Pikachu, right?
Yeah.
Pikachu.
That's good.
Yeah. Pikachu's kind of he's like bunnyish. You might be a big fan of Pikachu.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Is that what you would say if I was a Pokemon? I'd be Pikachu.
Oh, I'm not at all qualified to do that.
Which one would you wouldn't? Okay, I'm just wondering which Pokemon I would be in your mind. You said I was the weird art teacher.
Well, is Charmander? Is he fiery too?
Fire type, yeah.
Yeah, I put you as a Charmander.
You think I'm a fire type?
Just because of the hair?
Yeah, just because of the hair.
It's not often I'm outnumbered by redheads in this office, but right now.
So, okay, Aryn, what
yes.
do you think? Do I have red hair? As a true redhead, do I have red hair?
Your beard is really red.
Okay.
And so that brings the red out in your hair, for sure. I would say you're a redhead.
Yes.
See, I don't think I am.
That's a wrap.
I don't want to.
Okay, well, I don't know.
I kind of feel like
I didn't want to say you weren't if you really thought you were.
No, I don't think I
know.
am. Everyone else says I am, and I'm like
You're red adjacent for sure.
adjacent, sure, but like.
But redhead's not how you define yourself, and I think that's what's important.
That's not my label.
It is one of mine. If you're an actual redhead, then that would be a label. Because my nickname growing up was Red. Hey, Red. You with the red hair.
I think we've mentioned this on the show before, but when I started here, I was a couple days in, and Cody was like, "Hey, can I call you Big Red?" And I was just like, I was really confused because no one had ever really told me I had red hair before, and I was like, I don't know why you would, but okay.
That's funny.
Mitch.
You've never asked me that.
Well, I probably learned my lesson. Mitch to this day is one of the proudest hiring moments I've been a part of.
Aww.
And I was so excited even off the bat that I was like, this dude's got to be Big Red. And it shut it down immediately, but was,
Appreciate it, Cody. I appreciate it.
It was nice. But
it is a label.
Do your daughters have red hair?
No.
Really?
One has almost black hair and one is blondish hair.
So you can't, it's not even like you're Big Red, you're just red.
I'm just red. Yep.
Okay.
I don't get called that as much anymore. But
did you like it when people did call you red? You're cool with it?
Being a redhead, you're usually one of the only ones around, right? I don't know a lot of redheads. And honestly, sometimes it's weird when you're around other redheads. You're like, really one of us in here at a time is enough,
But I'm only red adjacent, so
yeah.
we're okay right
now. In your 15 years, is there a particular moment or a particular event, program, day that you're very proud of that we haven't talked about already? Or one that just stands out to you?
You said a particular day. I'm going to have a day in mind. I don't know. There was this one Tuesday, and I just thought it was a really great Tuesday.
Tuesdays are tough because people hate Mondays, but Tuesday is you kind of slog through Monday and you think all right, we're
Tuesday's
going.
Got a good
and then
vibe.
And then you hit Tuesday and you're like, oh my God, I'm not even in the middle of the week.
Oh, I thought.
So Tuesday gets kind of a, Tuesday can
Tuesday.
be something. So the fact that a Tuesday stands out, that's really remarkable.
I like a Tuesday. I can't think you couldn't figure out what your favorite Pokemon is. I was afraid you were gonna come in here. I would come in here and you'd say, "What's your favorite thing?" It's hard. I don't know. I really love Kid Space and I love Create Culinary Studio. I'm sure I've done other things. Dance Party.
Dance Party's cool.
That was. All of these things are not obviously just me doing these things. All of the stuff, all of the work we do, everything is collaborative, and it takes so many creative people to pull all of this stuff off. But Dance Party was another one in the Children's Museum that just at the time that we created that, it really became a thing, and people would call up, when's the next dance party? And they put it on the on the website, the dance party's coming, and they'd line up at the door for the dance party. And Kelsey was like, we need a dance party birthday party. This is just let's hit while the iron is hot, whatever that phrase is.
Strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that was a moment. I felt very proud of that because it was very simple. Again, it was like understanding like and how to distill down the things to make it really effective for people. And that was just a really simple. We had tried all these dancing programs and none of them, it was just too complicated trying to teach kids these like dance moves.
Yeah.
I was like, what if we just turned on music and let the kids dance with maybe some disco lights? And it was a thing.
What about the Create Culinary Studio? What's so exciting about that?
I feel like that is like it's on a leading edge. It reminds me a lot of like the excitement around the maker movement in the mid 2000s, early 2000s, where it just became a movement towards reconnecting people with skills and reconnecting people with craft in a lot of ways and just being curious about how things work. And I feel like teaching kitchens in museums and in institutions is just going to continue to grow. And there's a lot of excitement in the same kind of way of like reconnecting with our food and where it comes from and what it does in our bodies and how it brings out the science and history and the culture and the stories. And it connects us to all of those things. And it's deeply personal all at the same time. So I'm excited about that because it's just one of those things that is a framework that you can just go in so many directions and get so much out of. And you just won't ever run out of inspiration.
Do you think chefs are artists?
Absolutely. That is a medium that I don't feel comfortable in. And I'm not the chef in our studio. But I love helping create frameworks again so that the chef can be creative and think through what we could do that would maybe be like we're down there dehydrating soup right now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We're for our layers event. They wanted some space themed things. So we were talking about dehydrating and Megan dehydrated trays of tomato soup and we're going to reconstitute it with hot water in the event. But that's weird. And we were just crunching on soup crunchies down there as part of the play as we figure it out. I love that.
Well, as a former art teacher, sometimes all you need to do is provide the canvas and the paint, right? Yeah. And the artists find themselves.
And the ability to like make a mistake and learn from it and move on or make that mistake into something else.
I think the Heath bar was a mistake, but you really enjoy it, so that's nice.
And in a flurry, it's great.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah.
All right, 2 questions, then we'll let you bounce away. Okay. 1, if you had a walk-up song, what would it be? You know, like baseball players, they walk up to the plate, they get their own song. It's not going to be Jefferson Airplane, but...
Hold on. Creator by Santa Gold.
I don't know that one. I'm going to look it up, though. Okay.
I think we've been learning a lot of new music through this question.
But you were pretty ready with it. That's great.
Because I've thought of that before.
Okay.
Because
really?
I've seen people with walk-up songs, and I'm like, what would my walk-up song be?
You're like, that's pretty cool.
And it's kind of cool. What is your walk-up song?
Oh, I don't know. It might be "Whoop There It Is" by Tag Team.
Okay.
Because that's fun. It's got a good beat, and they played street hockey to it in D2, the Mighty Ducks.
Fun.
Yeah. So that was a big moment for me as a kid.
Love that. I will always think of that song now every time I see you.
Yes.
Whoop, there he is. Whoop, there he is.
In a very operatic way. If you could trade roles with anyone in the museum for a day, who would it be? And why?
Darn. I spend a lot of time with Whitney. I think it'd be fun to see what she does every day. Why?
What she gets up to?
Yeah. She just has a really brilliant mind that thinks very quickly. And I would love to be... Do I get, like, her whole mind, too? Or just, like, I'm in her office doing her work, but with me?
This is you're making the rules.
Me, like, because I imagine this lot. I imagine what would it be like if I was that person, but like if I was just in that role. Like I don't
You would
Yeah,
want
I
to be
don't
her
know.
as a person.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it would be fun to just like be as quick as she is. She's so fast.
Well, if
I feel very slow and intentional.
you're her the
Not that
person, you
she's
get
not
the role.
intentional. What?
If you're her the person, then you get the role. So
Yeah.
you're all
No,
good.
I think she's. I think she's just a really wonderful boss that I've had, and a great role model, and a person that I really look up to.
This
And I
seems to
tell
be-
that to her face. So that's just like me trying to get cool points with my boss.
That does seem to be a consensus. So
Yeah, she's great.
among people with her,
And I think
So
that's
that's
one
great.
of the reasons I love this place is because it's full of great people,
including
including you. Jinx.
you.
Aww.
You owe me a Werther's original.
I'm here too, guys.
Let the record show, Aryn did have a sweeping point. It included Mitch in
Yeah.
that one. So
Okay, I missed the finger.
Aw.
I
Did you
think-
think I didn't include you? I would never
I think
do
yours
that.
was more intentional and mine was more polite. So I think she was directing it at you. Aryn, this was a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Thank
it
you.
was a lot of fun. I didn't have to re-record anything.
Not that people know about.
What?
Not that people know
I
about.
re-record myself sometimes. I just don't, announce it.
Oh, okay.
It's not like this part is re-recorded.
What you're about to hear is re-recorded. Thank you all for listening. Remember, if you like what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe. But more importantly, come see for yourself. Visit cincymuseum.org to see the latest reasons to visit and the latest programs of Aryn's and her teammates that you can take part in. If you have any questions, comments, or just want to tell us how much you love the show, send us an email at meanwhile@cincymuseum.org. Thank you all for listening.